Mm. You look so handsome. You look so handsome. It's like when we went onto the Zoom, you caught me off guard, and so I'm still a little off guard, and I'm so who are you, Phil?
Well, thank you, Courtney. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm visiting my mom next month, so I thought this is the time for me to spruce myself up because I don't want my mother, confirming her fears that her son moved to California and joined the Manson gang. So I got rid of the hillbilly beard and the hillbilly hair, and
I don't know. I thought we thought you kind of look like Santa. It's interesting to
yeah.
see the perspective. I didn't
Mhm.
think the Manson group, I have to say. I thought you were too bright and too light to be that. But I do appreciate how we have to kind of shape up when we're going to see our mothers. It's like if we're not, I always say, you want to hear what I tell my children? It's a funny line, but I don't think it's a funny line. If you're not willing to tell your mother, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
That's yes. That's an
Because,
easy one to remember and to keep in your back pocket and pull it out when you need it.
yeah, because there is this, listen, even if your mother wasn't the best mother or whatever you have with your mother, most of the time, a mother really wants for you what they believe is for the best for you. And that doesn't mean it is the best for you. It's so funny. We talking about that, we saw, oh my God, we saw How to Train Your Dragon, which have you even heard of it?
Yep.
You
Hmm.
wouldn't think it's like a great movie. Oh, Phil, great movie. And I
I
think
heard that it's great.
it's great. I keep on thinking if only we could get the lessons from these movies and embody them, we
Hmm.
wouldn't suffer.
Hmm.
It's
I
great.
might go see it now because it sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah, oh, you would love it. You just have to get through the first 20 minutes. Like the first 20 minutes, like,
Hmm.
I don't know if I like this. What am I doing here? And then it starts and you're like, oh yeah, you're gonna love it. We actually saw it in 3D. And so we had the
Oh.
3D glasses and our movie theater is packed. I mean, it's so nice. They say people don't go to the movies. Well, our movie theater packed. So I don't know if it's gonna be where you live, but you have to go see it because the message is great. And what I thought was interesting is that it also had a lot to do with father and son relationships
Hmm.
and
Well,
how not an easy relationship that always is.
right. Well, the fact that it was crowded is a good indicator that it's a good movie. And I bet when I see the movie in LA, the theater will be crowded as well. And it's always nice, I think, to see a movie in a crowded theater.
Here you could go on Tuesdays because it's half price Tuesday. Is it half price where you live too?
Hmm.
I love the movies. They make me so happy. I guess it's because it's the only time really that you cannot be doing anything else because you cannot be on your phone. No one can bother you, and you have to just be present. Oh, and the screen and the noise. Oh, I just love it.
It is like a dream in the sense that it does. A good movie will take you out of your seat. You forget that you're sitting in a seat, you're completely wrapped up in the emotion and the excitement. And it is a great feeling. It really is.
Yeah, and you feel like you're part of the story somehow, right? And I keep on thinking of like how much like good TV or good movies, they bring you through what we need to learn.
Mhm.
And we have so much to learn.
Yeah,
It's this never-ending life of learning.
that's
So,
right.
how was your weekend?
It was great. Really, really mellow. How was yours?
It was mellow too, actually. I had a nice weekend. I like the weekends. It's like I like the weekdays and I like the weekends, but there is something about being together with people and celebrating or just spending time together. But it was just Father's Day weekend, and I do have a problem with holidays geared to situational holidays like Mother's
Hmm.
Day, Father's Day. And I get the idea of them, except for that I also find that it causes people for sadness and upsetness and what their
Hmm.
idea of a father is, or if they have a relationship with their parents or they don't. So I find holidays like that very hard. Not for
Hmm.
me necessarily, just for the
Hmm.
collective.
Yes, it can be. You're absolutely right.
So it makes us think about what we have or what we don't have. But I do like that we could appreciate
Hmm.
them. But why
That's
don't
right.
we appreciate people every day? It's like, why do we need special days to appreciate them? I think that's my problem with birthdays too. It's like, well, just can you appreciate people every single day? Because every single day we're given this gift. But I do like birthdays in the sense that we can acknowledge someone for that day.
Hmm.
So it's so nice to see you, and I'm so grateful. And we'll, oh my God, I actually did look at the stars this morning. So I do tend to look every day
It's a
because
busy week coming up, don't you
I,
think?
what?
Don't you think there's a busy week coming up? I mean, we're coming into solstice and it's,
I can't wait to see actually. Let's see. Can you see the screen?
hmm, I can see.
Okay. We are coming up to solstice. Yeah, I don't really think of solstice so much. I know everyone does, but it's not something that I do think about, but I guess we will be seeing that. But I
Mhm.
do know it's a Pisces moon today, so I could feel even when we're speaking how I'm like la la la, I'm like a little out of it.
Hmm.
I think it's just look, it just went into Pisces.
Hmm.
So today is Monday. It's the beginning of the week, and we could see how I always think, well, so I was talking about like why do I think this is so important? And I think it's so important that we can understand what our capabilities are for the day or for the week. And I don't know why you think astrology is important, but I just think if we could kind of understand why things are showing up and what we could learn from them, maybe we won't hurt so much.
That's right. Why
And
not, why not gather as much information as possible so you can make better decisions and know yourself better?
no, it's interesting. You know, I asked Chloe a question this morning and I said something like about Justin Bieber. Do you know? And I keep on saying, just I wonder what's happening with Justin Bieber. I don't even know what made me say it. And then she read me something actually right before we got on the call. And he was like, I'm so sick of people telling me to heal. And like maybe I should just focus on somebody else. And I thought, that's so brilliant. That's
Hmm.
so brilliant because we're really how about if we knew nothing's wrong with us? I keep on thinking about this as we're at the end of Gemini, the sun in Gemini, and we weren't told something's wrong with us all the time.
Right. And we could focus on somebody else or others. And that's really very freeing feeling.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, God, if Justin Bieber's listening, which we don't think he is, but you never know if someone will, you know, having a child was really a gift for me because it made me think about someone else. Like it wasn't about me anymore. I had to keep a child alive and I was responsible for somebody else. And there's a great gift in that. So I was thinking what he could do is get rid of all his help and just take care of that child, and he will be so much happier.
Hmm.
Sometimes we have too much, I'll say,
Hmm.
and all the money in the world doesn't make us happy. But he did say that I think it was in the rest of it, he was like, Jesus is the only one that helps me. And I think even that, something outside of myself.
Hmm.
Good reminder. Anyway, just makes me think of how that mind is still driving us a little mad.
Yeah, yes. And if you're actually doing something like feeding a child or holding their hand or burping them or changing their diaper, there's a satisfaction about that. It's you're doing it and you know how important it is to do it. So you're receiving something as well, that feeling of this, feeling good about an accomplishment like that. It might not seem like you're changing the world, but to you, I just think it's a deeply satisfying experience to do something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is very satisfying yeah, it's kind of a miracle, right? If you're feeding a baby or if you're
Mhm.
able to hold a baby, it is a miracle. And there's nothing wrong with that baby. I think that's too, right? This idea that it's it's magnificent. Just even I always think children are such great teachers. They kind of are just present, beautiful. And maybe it is the small little things we do daily that are the gifts and not the big things, not these big grand expressions. So it's interesting, right? Because the sun is going towards, that's interesting, right? The sun's moving towards Jupiter, and it is what does it mean to nurture somebody else? What does it mean to nurture myself? What does it mean to nurture just in general, that word nurture? But I mean, you gave a great description of what it means to nurture, what 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 it looks like to nurture. And even holding your own, I mean, I think about it like holding your own hand, caring enough about yourself about what you eat, right? It's like feeding yourself. That's so loving and kind and how you take care of yourself.
Really important, really, really important basic things that are profound in themselves.
Yeah. I think we're always trying to, I was thinking about this I was thinking about this partly because of the movie, but partly just in general. It's like, what makes anyone special, right? And if you're gonna love the movie, I can't wait till you see the movie because then we're gonna talk about the movie because it is just it's great. It's a great
Is it
movie.
going to make me cry?
I don't know. I
It's
think it's
okay
gonna
if it does. I'm
but
just,
well, Charlie cried. My daughter, my youngest daughter did cry. So I will say to you, yeah, you do have Cancer ascendant, so maybe
I might tear up.
I
Could
think
be.
so. But you know what though? I think crying is the greatest healing gift in the whole world. I think of
Mhm.
someone says, if I make someone cry, I'm like, I know I'm doing my job right.
Mhm. Yes.
Because of the bringing up emotions, which is actually today, right? If you bring up the emotions, then they're not stuck and they're meant to come up. I mean, we're meant to feel. I think it's even interesting that that post came out about Justin Bieber today, if that's when it did, and he said, "Well, Jesus brings me peace, and the moon will move towards the nodes, right? And what we're all meant to do right now is to find something higher than us and find peace in that, because the voice in our head, that critical voice, is so exhausting."
It's so exhausting. Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
persistent.
it's just it's so much. It's so much. And so I go back to how I was thinking how it's always very similar messages just because the planets take a very long time to move. So we have a long time to practice this sun square, this Jupiter and like it's like that Jupiter square Saturn. We have this time to practice it. Jupiter's then going to go squaring to Neptune. But like, what am I spending my time expanding? Like, and is it good for my heart? Like, where am I putting my effort into and my time?
Hmm.
So it's a good, do you see anything else for Monday or?
No, I think that the square really the
Well, oh, look at that. That's actually really interesting because right at this moment, right at this moment, we can see that the moon is in a, this is fun. We're going to have a very healing conversation today. So I think this day is going to bring great relief for both of us, and who knows if for other people, just because the moon is trining that Jupiter. And how about if we did know our perfection and that there was nothing to fix?
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, that's all happening just the way it's supposed to. And interesting enough, this is like the heart, like the fire. So even just this fire of like, I do work with holy fire, which is like a, I don't know, but I don't know if Jesus has something to do with fire, but holy fire does have this energy of, I'll say Jesus's energy a bit, but does Jesus have anything to do with fire?
Moses does. Moses does the burning bush, but it's all part of the same lineage. It's so yes, the Holy Spirit is, yeah, fire is definitely an element that's part of that Judeo-Christian tradition.
Yeah.
And it's similar to the astrological fire energy. It's about spirit, and expression and strength and, you know, making yourself present. The same, the same archetypes.
Yeah, hope.
Hope,
Hope. It's
absolutely.
possibilities, like the igniting, when we ignite a fire, it could burn it down. You think about that, right? Just in a moment's time, your house could be burnt down and it could be
Mhm,
rubbles. And so everything we believe,
mhm,
do we even have to believe it?
mhm. And faith, keeping the flame, holding that, holding that flame in your heart.
Yeah. It's well, that's what I wish for everybody, to remember their light and to remember that that flame is within us, and nothing can dampen our flames if we don't want it to. It's yeah, and that is interesting just because Saturn is in fire, it's asking us to start something, and Jupiter's like, does it, there feels like it's watery, and I'll say to you, I don't know. Be very careful of what emotions you have and what emotions you believe. Because again, Jupiter is like what do you believe too? It's like right, that energy of, I always like this, what you believe is what you'll receive. And that I feel like is a very Jupiter Cancer word.
I love that. What you
Yeah.
believe is what you receive.
So be
I don't think
careful
I've
what you
heard that
think.
before. Yeah.
Be careful what you think. Let's see. So we're so excited about this week. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about solstice. Okay, so that is Tuesday. Did you get Tuesdays up? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
sorry. No, I'm still at Monday.
yeah, it's so interesting because what about now?
Not yet.
Okay, I think I have to close it out and then I have to stop share and I'll share again. Let's see. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, but then if I don't animate it, how about, well, now, are you on Tuesday yet?
No, still on Monday.
Hmm. What about now?
Still Monday.
Okay, stop share. Let's try this again. Patience is a virtue. What about now, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, so this is the middle of the day, Tuesday. We could
Mhm,
move, I don't know, let's do that. Let's do that with the sun's on the top of the day. I think that's a good way to handle it. That's the middle of the day.
mhm.
So the middle of the day. And actually for you it'd be noon. So it's kind of
That's
perfect.
fine.
The
Yeah.
middle of the day. Tuesdays is Mar, oh, look at that. Look at that grand trine.
Yes, and water.
Very interesting. So this is actually, that's really interesting. So the moon is trying, and Juno's relationships. So it's about, and it's about like, I wonder if if it's more, I wonder if there's more breakups, I'll say, and people are leaving relationships when Juno goes retrograde. I don't know, but it's a good
Oh,
question because I am
yes.
hearing about people's relationships going
Well,
away.
there's definitely, Mercury at the top there. I think there's uh, a communication element here. So maybe people are expressing their feelings, and that could be warm feelings, I hope, because because of the trine energy, that they're expressing things that they might have held back. And if they are things that you might have held back, but they're swirling inside of you, the emotions, Tuesday might be an ideal time to express them.
I like that. I actually think that's a very good idea to tell people how you're feeling and at least get it out of your body, right? I think about if you hold your feelings in, there's, when you could actually tell it's such a good idea. It's such a good idea, Phil, to if you actually do love somebody, to tell them how you're feeling so
Hmm.
that you can, without blame or without shaming them, but saying more of asking for what you need and looking. I mean, if you think about Juno in Scorpio, actually looking deep within to understand what you might need from the relationship to feel nurtured, to feel loved, to like flow together. I think of Pisces energy and how it flows. It flows.
Hmm.
It flows. And interesting, look at that. I think this is so interesting. Is this every single week that we've been experiencing this? But on the day of the week, it seems as if that planet goes into the sign. And so once again, it's Mars's day. And look, Mars just going in to Virgo. So be careful being critical. When you're speaking to somebody, be be aware of the critic versus how you could improve things. Because if you're just
There's
being critical of the other person, that's actually not helping anyone improve. So I'll say to you, how do you have constructive conversations that actually help and support you guys to go deeper into the relationship?
there's also that second grand trine, which includes Juno, but the other leg includes the North Node and the MC.
Oh, wow, that
You
would be
see?
like right at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is amazing. And then you could see there's, it's so interesting to me, astrology, and how much our life is unconsciously ruled by it, right? For instance, this weekend was a little more of a distant weekend. You didn't have a lot of people's emotions. People were a little separate from their emotions. You could kind of have a broader conversation with people. And then you go into today and it just feels different. It feels different and how we don't realize how much we're affected by the day-to-day movement of the stars and the planets. But Mars and Virgo, I mean, this is interesting. It is interesting, right? Because I'll say just it makes me think of how easy it is to get lost in the problem.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Right.
and if you have, I really go back to every time there's a problem, the greatest gift is that there's going to be a solution. Right there. That's the whole point is if you want to make something better, how do you make it better instead of just look at the South Node. It's like you could just keep complaining, right? Because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and you could just think about like how we can complain and have a problem with something. But if you're actually just complaining, you could be going to war for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
It makes me a little uncomfortable because we're kind of in this war feeling and we could lose track of, especially that it's going towards the South Node, we could lose track of why we're in a war. Like, what do you
Right.
actually, I always think, what are you fighting for?
Right. And so if you get caught up in details, then you're just focusing on the details and, you know, next steps. And you can keep parsing those details into more details and more details so that you're only focused on the details. But if you wanted to use this energy in a more skillful way, you could use it to say, yes, these are these are these are details, but I'm going to get to work. I'm going to I am not going to get caught up in you know, being frozen in the overwhelm of it. I'm not going to do that. I am going to handle these tasks before me and just be active about it, be proactive about it, and just march and do.
Yeah. Yeah, get things done. I like that word proactive. It could really save you a lot from being in your mind of what has to be done. It's a perfect message for Tuesday of being, I love it. Be proactive. I think it's perfect, Phil.
Thanks.
That's also a great word for that Virgo. It's like, how about if it was perfect and we just kind of had to deal with it? Wait, now are you able to see me switch it on Wednesday or
Yes, I saw movement on the wheel, so
look at
yes.
that? We're figuring it
There
out.
you go.
It doesn't have to be perfect right away. We could
That's
kind
right.
of maneuver and be flexible, which is also a very good, still we're in Gemini season. So the idea of being flexible, which is Wednesday is again Mercury's day.
Hmm.
Gemini being the ruler. Really, I mean, the word flexible is open-minded and flexible. Imagine if we were just going to be open-minded and flexible. The higher, well, first of all, the higher way with the moon on the north. So I think for the next year, our purpose is to remember our own divinity, but also remember that we're all connected and that we're not separate from one another. And then as the moon on Wednesday is connected or conjunct that north node, how important it would be to see the oneness of everybody, right? I've been thinking about that a lot, right? Is that if that's somebody's child, that's someone's daughter, that's somebody's son, and that's if we all had a little more compassion and less judgment.
I think there's definitely compassion here with again with that trine energy. You know, I think I think compassion will come, it'll bubble up, you know. I think we all have compassion, but it will be, I think it could become more accentuated, more discussed, you
Yeah,
know,
I
that
think
we,
that's interesting, and that's a choice. I think we go back to Mercury, and you see that there's a trine right there, right? And then, and again, it's trying the relationships, but it starts with each person. Each person's responsible for how they speak, and I don't know.
and speaking without emotion doesn't really have the same impact. I think, you know, there should be emotion behind it. You know, you saw a film that you gave two really strong thumbs up for. And I think that was, you're watching something, it's communicating something very Mercury, a very Mercury vehicle, right? A container for all things Mercury. They were they were conveying things to you, to your heart through your eyes and your ears. Music, sound, design, all orchestrated to take you through an experience. But all of that experience, all of those communication modes or had emotion at the foundation of it.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, yeah, whoever's making the movie wants us to, there must be some intention with how they want you to feel. And I think what's interesting is how important the music is. How music, it's when you hear something, how much it brings up emotion, right? Fear, sadness, excitement. So yeah, it's orchestrated so a good movie is like, but I think that's life too, right? Is life like a movie? Are you orchestrating your life in the way for what you want, right? So is your if your life's a movie, what soundtrack are you going to play for it?
Mhm.
Do you want to listen to sad music or, and sometimes you want to be sad, but sometimes you also want to get out of that sadness.
Mhm. Right. So these same the music can express joy and triumph and celebration and all these things. And it's interesting that when you're watching a movie, no matter what kind of movie, even if it's a musical comedy, there's a story, there's a narrative, you're meeting characters and they're talking. But every time it stops with a song, it's somebody telling you how they feel. And it's saying, this is this is important enough for me to stop here and just sing about how I feel. And it's so natural for us to connect with the story that way. We know that, okay, they're stopping, they're pausing. The action kind of stops, right? The plot doesn't develop really much further. They're just stopping to express their love, to express their hope, you know, all of those things. And that's when we really lean in, I think, because it's really speaking to us.
Yeah, it really, oh, to watch a good movie. It makes me think how much music, how much I should have music in the background. I think Tuesday and Wednesday, put on music in the background and laugh a little bit. Like not take it all so seriously. It's
Mhm.
okay, I went to Costco today and the guy couldn't touch the mango. And he said, can't touch the mango because I'm allergic to the mango. And I was like, well, how did you learn that you were so allergic to the mango? He said, my mother-in-law had me go pick a bunch of mangoes and his whole body went into like, just went crazy. And he said, now that I'm talking about it, it seems so funny, he said. Like he literally said, it seems so funny, like that I'm having this conversation. I could look back now and laugh about it. But when I was going through it, it did not seem funny at all. And I thought, huh, that's just a good message. When we're going through whatever we're going through, we can't imagine that there could be some humor at the end of this. And then we could look back and be like, it's kind of a funny story. I'm not laughing at anyone's stories at all,
Right.
but it is interesting that we'll get through this too, whatever it is.
And when you're in it, it feels so overwhelming that you can't even imagine that you will ever even look back on it and laugh or have a philosophical uh, understanding of it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, that was tough, but it made me better. Or that was really hard, but I learned that I could do something that I didn't think I could ever do. But so it's a gift, but in the moment, it's that's the last thing you're saying to yourself.
Yeah, it makes me think about like the philosophical with the idea of the philosophical is that it if okay, so now Jupiter. is squaring is squaring Neptune, right? And so if you think about if something does happen to us, right, good or bad, right? Maybe there is something bigger than us that is making us have an experience so that we can be braver and we can learn from it and we can learn to trust God. It's like you ever hear of if you can't have a breakdown, you can't have a breakthrough till you have a breakdown. And so there's this, do we need to have all these intense feelings and these emotions in a way so that we can be brave and courageous and believe? And so if you looked at it from a philosophical way of like, just like, why is this happening for me? Is there something bigger here that I'm meant to learn? Like what's or else why are we even born, right? I mean, if you have the whole philosophical question of why are you here?
And if you can hold on to that little bit of understanding while you're going through it, it's it's enormous relief, right? It alleviates the pressure and the fear to say, okay, what's happening to me next? I will process this. I will find a way forward, and I will receive something as a result. I will I will know not to do that again. I will know, you know, that if I do it again, I will do it this certain way. There's all kinds of benefits from actually going through the fire.
I think there's a lot of benefit. I think we learn more when there's a problem than when everything's going well. It tends to be we grow more. We have to have courage. It's we yes, I'll say the fire is very interesting. So Thursday, Jupiter's day. This is so interesting. I just think that there's something so fascinating about this Jupiter and Neptune square. And now, oh, look at that. So Thursday, the moon will be in the morning, the moon will be going on Neptune. This
Oh
is
yeah.
so interesting. I mean, you talk about, I don't know, I always think Aries is like, there's an innocence about it. So, is what truth do I need to see? That's what I think. What, like, sometimes Neptune hides the truth. And so is my emotions trying to show me the truth of what I need to know? I feel as if we're like waking up, right? We're all being asked to wake up and to let go as the moon, like, so the moon is going towards like the waning, it's waning, it's leaving, right? And so it's asking people when this time of the month happens, we start to release things. We start to let go if we don't want to have certain things anymore, what do we have to let go of? But in order to let go of it, we have to see it, be honest about it. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
do
I think
inconjuncts? Do you see that it's inconjunct, that Neptune, right? That's an inconjunct. And it's like where it's
Mars.
kind of hidden. So look, it's
Hmm.
Neptune and then the Mars in the Virgo. And so it's something that's hidden. It's like you don't understand it. And so notice where you're being critical of somebody else, because sometimes it could be something within us that we need to see. And I would say around anger, like just even if you're talking about someone else being angry, like looking at our own anger.
Hmm.
You know, because I feel like it makes me think of people like I want to I'm like a very positive person, but what people are really angry. And and we all have the choice within ourselves to look at our own anger instead of looking at, yeah.
Mercury's conjunct the MC right there at the top. And again, part of that grand trine, but this time the North Node is more engaged here.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that's
for me,
good.
yeah, I think for me, the way this watery emotional energy is more part of my consciousness over these past couple of days, I think is because of the death of Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. His death had a real impact on me because, when I was young, the Beach Boys were a big deal in high school. But when I got older, I kind of dismissed them as this is a musical phase and I'm out of it now. But then as I got older and became more of an adult, I really got into Brian Wilson and really started to appreciate what he was able to do. And became a huge fan, and I think about what he accomplished. I mean, he created a musical sound that was uniquely American. And it focused on Southern California. And me and everyone in my high school, when we listened to that music, it was like an oral message about an amazing lifestyle of sun and beach and fun. I mean, it was not only in the words, it was the sound that was joyful and youthful. It was like sunshine in the actual sound that was coming through. And so that remains. It's still very uniquely American, and I think that's a little bit about why I might have come to California in the first place. I wanted to know what that was about, and I did learn to surf and I did spend time on the beach. And I don't know if I would have been attracted to that as much if it wasn't for that sound.
I mean, that was the best song, right? I mean, even just thinking about the song, it brings me to the beach. It makes you think of that perfect Americana life. Yeah, I wonder if he did change California, right? Like, can one song change California? Yeah, yeah. I didn't know he died. It's a lot of musicians are sick and are dying. It's very
Yep.
interesting.
Yes. Yeah, he
Okay.
was he was yeah, and I saw a documentary on Brian Wilson recently, and he was he had his lots of challenges, real, but he dealt with them, and he continued to thrive despite all of those things.
Yeah, I don't know his story. It would be very interesting. It's interesting that we can make it, like Linda Goodman was an astrologer and she was simple. It was a simple astrology. And then a lot of people had like, oh, she's not good because of it.
Mhm.
And so it reminded me of that. It's like sometimes the most simple idea is actually the hardest. And to get the idea, right, to that music was not simple at all. It was genius. And how it's interesting how we could think, oh, maybe I shouldn't like this. Maybe it's not cool.
Right.
This idea of what cool is, but it was so cool. And I think today it still would remain. I mean, there was nothing cooler. I think even when I was a teenager, so we're, I think, at least a few years apart. And when
Mhm.
I was a teenager, we listened to the Beach Boys. So it was around forever. Did he make lo later songs? Was there
Yes, his musical interest matured and deepened. He wasn't pumping out hits the way he did earlier. He was doing things with orchestras, and he was being very experimental with all kinds of instruments. He's really considered a genius, and it's well deserved because he did things that nobody else was doing.
Oh, I want to look up his chart. Wait, should we look up his chart? I think it's so interesting. We should look up his chart. That's a very interesting. We'll get through the week and maybe we should look through it if we have a couple minutes because it's what a I'm sure he was a genius. I'm sure he is a genius, and I'm sure we could see it in his chart. That's what I think is amazing. And I do think there's Mercury in Cancer is think about it. Anyone that is a singer, they're communicators and they bring up emotions in us. And it is interesting to think about that he has left us during this. Yeah. What day did he die?
I think it was this day. I think it was Thursday, last Thursday. And Paul McCartney said that Brian Wilson and his Pet Sounds, his record Pet Sounds, was what pushed the Beatles into doing things like Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. McCartney said, yeah, once we heard that, we always felt inspired by Brian Wilson, but once we heard that, we said, listen, guys, we need to expand our boundaries as well. So interesting how they each were so influential and they pushed each other to go get out of each other's little safety net.
What I think so beautiful about what you just said is that the musicians had to wanted to expand their boundaries. And so it makes me think of this Jupiter moving towards Mercury, right? It's slower, but it's like it's towards there. And it's do we need to expand our own boundaries, go farther than we're comfortable with? Or do we stay in this container but there took a braveness about the Beatles, right? So Brian Wilson opened a door and gave them the possibility, right? And hearing their music, but it took courage and braveness to I think that's so beautiful. Expand the boundaries. It's just such a perfect Gemini Mercury, Jupiterian word and Cancer, right? Because these Cancers like are boundaries, and we could be so, we could want to stay so small just to be safe. And then we could open it up. We might not feel as safe, but that's where the magic happens. And I think that is so perfect for the energy of Jupiter's day. So thank you so much for telling us that story. And we're all going to go listen to Brian Wilson and watch that documentary. And I think turn on the Beach Boys because I'll say, they never leave us. People leave us, and there's like their energy, they just, they should be always appreciated. And the Beatles as well, and John Lennon. I mean, talk about like just the words of John Lennon and his song about peace. And oh my God, amazing.
And because it is summer, it's just perfect Beach Boys time. It's just nothing says summer in America more.
No, it's true. And how many movies? Like I was thinking of how many movies use their songs, right? And still, I wonder, I mean, very cool. I just want to hear the song right now. I'm like, oh, I wish I could play it. So we're on Friday and it's Venus's day. Oh, I wonder, we haven't even thought about Venus. We haven't even thought about Venus, but there's Venus and it's trining. No, it's not trining. Oh, Venus is opposite. Wow, it seems like the an interesting week about relationships, right? Like, wow. Can't even make this up. Juno is very involved this week. Our relationships, our relationships, our relationships. There's something about our relationships with another person, whether it's our lovers or our friends. But like, do you feel safe in your relationships? And Venus wants to feel safe. And if you don't, you have to feel safe. But
And Venus
remember, yeah. We don't
Yeah.
always feel safe because we have our wounds. I go back to that Jupiter and Cancer of our memories.
Hmm. And Venus is just going into Taurus, where she's very at home, very comfortable, so she can express all her loving, warm feelings in a more generous way because she's comfortable now.
Yes, she is more comfortable and she's happy. She's happy there. But it is interesting, right, about how, well, I'll say to you, I'm very grateful that this is a good conversation to have. I'm so grateful that we're friends and that you let me come into your life and that I let you come into my life. And it takes courage to make new friends, and it takes a feeling of allowing yourself to feel safe. So you can actually feel safe with people. You can feel safe with people. But
That's right. I think the more you put yourself out there, there's a risk, but you there's also the much more probable outcome is that you will feel safer because you're building trust. You're building, camaraderie. You're knowing each other. There's just that becomes a very strong connection. You add all of those little details, and then it becomes something stronger than all the parts.
yeah. Yes, and you expand your boundaries, right? Just like you could think about, right, that idea of expanding your boundaries and allowing more people in a little bit, right? It's because you never know, something magical could happen when we have the courage, I guess. I go back to courage because so it is interesting. The courage to just courage. I mean, you're talking about Friday. Where do we all need courage? Because okay, I was trying to explain to Chloe. I am like obsessed with Eris because I think that women need to be nicer to each other. I think there is, and I don't think it's the same with men. And I do think that it's a very woman thing, Eris, and the energy of Eris, of rivalry, of competition, of saying that somebody else is something, right? And blaming somebody else when you're going through your own stuff. And so I don't know. I don't know if men do it as much as women do, but women are, I believe, much more rivalrous and much more catty. I'm serious, catty to another. And that is the Eris story. The Eris story is that they blamed Eris. They called her chaotic. They called her a problem. But meanwhile, they were the ones, these three other women they were chaotic and they were angry and they were so upset. I don't know. It's so easy to blame somebody else and without looking at ourselves. I don't know. Maybe are men so I don't know. Women are very cruel sometimes.
Well, I'll tell you something that I've heard throughout my career, and that is women telling me that they would much rather have a male boss than a female boss. Over and over again, they
Yeah.
say that. And I understand. I witness things that would make me believe that.
Yeah. And I think it's something that people don't want to talk about
Right.
because it's even just so uncomfortable for me to be saying this. But I mean, look at this today. We can heal it. So if I'm not willing to say it out loud and have the courage to say it, then we can't change it. And I will say that I don't know, we have to stop competing. Women, I think, let's just say women will say, maybe not competing with each other. I am never going to be 20 years old again. I could do the best I can to look as young and as beautiful as possible, but I'm not 20 and I'm not meant to be 20. So I'm not going to be jealous of a 20-year-old girl. I'm not going to be jealous of a 30-year-old girl. I'm not going to be jealous of anybody because it's I don't know. I'm not going to be jealous. And I think the story is interesting. These three women went after the apple to prove they were the fairest of them all, right? And it is a story that keeps replaying over and over and over again in movies, in all the fairy tales, right? You think of Snow White, right? There was this perfect girl, and that woman, instead of just loving her and thinking, wow, see your beauty, and I could appreciate my beauty, she wants to poison her. Let's just take her down. Let's just
Cinderella
not
and the
invite her.
stepsisters. So it's yeah, there's so many fairy tales that have that recurring theme.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, listen, I think it's very hard to be a woman. And I was just going through People magazine. Oh my God, I can't believe we're having this conversation. And I'm like, you see all these men and they're 50, 60-year-old men and they're all dating these 28-year-old girls. And I'm like, what do you even want to be with a 28-year-old? Listen, when you're 28, it's a lot of fun. I think it's great, but what do you have in common with somebody you really don't? It is it's very different paths that you're going through. And there is something, anyway, it's,
Yeah, it's far more acceptable for men to do something like that. Uh,
I think they want to feel young, right? If you're going to be 60 and you're going through your second Saturn return and you're supposed to learn to be wise and grow up in a different way. I don't really know if I want to do that. I'd much rather be younger. Let me go to someone younger and go through their next Saturn return and we could become grown-ups in a different way. And listen, I actually don't care who anyone's dating, but I'll say it's not going to make you any happier.
mhm.
You'll have the same problems with a 50-year-old that you're going to have with a 30-year-old. And I don't say it like I'm being jealous of that. I just honestly, I don't know. I think you're looking outside of yourself for to feel good. And I don't know. So to each his own. But I will say to you, notice. And I even think that maybe what I'm saying is not kind, but I really do think most people at 25 years old, like the Bill Belichick, I don't think that he has a lot in common with that beautiful young girl. I mean, and maybe they do, but that girl's young and gorgeous and maybe they're soulmates. I don't know.
Well, I remember in my 20s, I was a little bit, I'll use the word inconsiderate, much more inconsiderate than I ever would be today. And I look back at my behavior and the things that I said and how I behaved, and I know that I would never do those things today. I'm not saying that I killed anybody or, nothing extreme. It's just that I think I was becoming who I am. And I was figuring that out. And as I was doing that, I was interacting with all kinds of people, and they were reflecting me, through them. And these are all things that I was unconscious of at the time, but all of those things kind of molded me. But I had to find out, what it is that I liked, what I didn't like, what I respected, what I didn't respect. I was learning all of these things. And I think because it was all so new to me that I hurt people's feelings, just as my feelings were hurt in my 20s for the same reason. I, there was still that, teenager in me where I was thinking about myself a lot and what I wanted and how I was going to get it, you know.
Well, in a way, you're supposed to be doing that, right?
That's right. That's
And
right.
when you're in your 20s, you're supposed to be kind of out for yourself. I mean,
Yeah. Hmm.
Because what do you want to do? What you did perfectly, like in your 20s, I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. And how do you figure out who you want to become if you don't figure out what you don't like, especially in relationships? I mean,
Right.
there is this, you're going to hurt people because you're
Yes.
kind of have to, I think it's a survival thing too, right? It's like in order for you to figure out what you want, you have to know what you don't want. And I don't know if it's inconsiderate or if it's actually maybe the biggest gift you could give yourself.
Right.
No, I know.
But
I
I
know you weren't
also,
thinking you were inconsiderate, but there is this naivety. It's like, well, also your frontal lobes. I mean, I don't even think
no,
boys' frontal lobes are developed till they're
right,
24, 25 years old. So our
right,
choices are really
right,
not always the best, right?
right.
Like you're not even thinking like this can, my daughter gave me like a story about this girl, 18-year-old girl, 19-year-old girl who died first week of school in Miami. This is like in 2018. And she's like, well, how couldn't she got in the car? And I'm like, she's 19 years old. She was probably drinking and you don't have the same thought process at that age. You don't. You can make some, I said, I'm so lucky because I made some, I mean, there must have been angels. I mean, I made some stupid choices.
I feel the same way. Absolutely the same way.
Uh, I mean, yeah. And I almost, then it makes you even wonder
I
if,
just think if I were to, if I were in, hmm?
yeah, go on. If you were, yeah.
I just think if I was in the same situation today as I was in my 20s, I still would have done the same things, but I would just have more awareness about what I was doing. And I think I could negotiate those things in a much, in a more loving way, more considerate way. Only because I have the years of experience behind
Perspective.
me now.
You
Yes.
have perspective, but that's an
Right.
interesting question because I'll ask you, would you be? I mean, listen, my parents had a very big age gap. My father was a lot younger than my mother. So I am not a problem with age gaps because I am born. I am so grateful I'm born. They have a very special, extraordinary relationship. So and it's like a big age gap. It's like 16, 17 years. But say, I'll say you're a something age man and right do you think that you could date someone in their 20s early 20s?
I'm open.
Oh good, okay,
I'm so open. Yes.
okay.
Absolutely.
And you think that it would be beneficial to both parties?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm wrong. I see how flexible I'm being. It's the end of
Mhm.
Gemini on this Friday, and
Right.
I'm in. If you want to have a relationship with anybody any age, I think this is a very good conversation. It is an interesting conversation.
Yeah, because it's it is your responsibility to be happy, to pursue happiness. That is everybody's job. And if being happy means you partner with somebody who's not in you know, close in age to you, I say more happiness to you if that's what makes you happy.
Yeah. Well, I like that. And I'll say to you, and that would be very brave of somebody, right? Not caring what anyone thinks, which is an interesting, because it really doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It doesn't. When you are very happy and you know it's right, you really don't care what anybody thinks. So I,
And I think you have to be careful about that because if you feel that there's some kind of outside pressure in your relationship, you have to be careful that it doesn't sink into your thought processes, that you start second guessing these things. And I'm saying that because it's happened to me. If you second guess your own feelings because of
society.
any society, that's that's when things can really become tragic. right? Because
I was
you're
thinking like when you're starting a relationship, there's something about keeping it contained a little bit, just so you can see how you feel, and then you can decide on how you want it, right? It's like you can nurture it and love it, and then you could appreciate it and grow it and make it strong so that when the outside opinions come in, you can hold. I mean, it's a really interesting thing because, yeah, who has the right to tell you who to love? But I will say this, Phil. I don't know if anyone outside of yourself could actually make you happy. That's what I will say. So I'll say be careful with thinking that like there's this Michael Singer talks about love, and he talks about you're in love. And so you have this in love feeling, and the birds are whispering and they're singing and your heart is expanding and there's love. But that's you loving. It is like, and yes, it is another person brings up these feelings for you, but it's really within you. And so it's a good reminder. And yeah, be careful with our societal ideas shaping what you choose, but those butterflies,
right.
finding those
And by
butterflies.
no means am I saying that, you know, finding happiness is dependent on being with another person. That's not what I mean. I just mean that your goal in life is to be happy, whatever that means. If it means you stray off an acceptable path, doesn't matter. It's your, this is your experience of happiness, and embrace it and pursue it and protect it despite what anybody says. And again, you could you could find happiness, you know, by visiting the zoo every day. That,
I used to do that. That when I had my daughter, when she was a baby, I used to go every single day to the zoo. And it made
yeah.
me so happy to see the animals and to watch them. Yes. But
Mhm.
I do think it's nice to be in love. And I do think love is a very important part of being able to feel this excitement and joy, because it's almost easier to have it for somebody else than it is for ourselves. So I do think there is something so nice about that. But yes.
There, think about all the things that you learn by being in love. And I know people who have told me that they've never been in love. And that to
No,
me, yes,
no,
that's
no, no,
the
no, no,
person
no,
who
no,
the person who cut my hair told me that she's never been in love. And I know other people who haven't.
no. Oh
And
no,
so,
she has to go find love. This is,
right. But when they tell me that, I first of all, I don't judge them at all.
no, I'm
I
not
don't.
judging them, but don't you want them to feel that?
Yes, but I also know that our conversations can only go so far because
Oh,
they have.
you've never met me then. Oh, I have lied.
But you've been in love. You've been in love.
No, but
So
I mean the conversations. I have the strangest conversations with people. I think about this though. I mean, how scary it is actually to be in love.
yes, that's why they call it falling. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, you have to really let go. I mean, it's a, yeah, it is. That's why you call it falling. I think it's scary to be, I think it's scary to be in love because then you have no control whatsoever. I mean, you're talking about no control. It makes me think about maybe you really can't control. Oh, wait, I'm gonna make a prayer. Well, if she wants it, but I'll say, may she find love, because I'll say, oh, to be in love. So I don't care who you love either. You could love 20-year-olds as long as they're of age. That's what I'll say. There's your answer. Just make sure they're of age. But I'll say to you, yeah, I guess we can't always control who we fall in love with. Thank
That's
you
right.
for making me at the last day of Gemini, right? Friday was the last day of Gemini sun. You made me think in a different way, have a different open mind, be a little flexible. And we don't have to fight with people today because the moon's now in Taurus and it's a little more loving. It's a little more loving. It feels a little more loving than yesterday where we were a little more aggressive. It's amazing. I'm like looking at the chart. I can see my energy just change. It is Saturn's day. Is it making the aspect Saturn? Yeah. In conjunct to Mars too. Well, it's so interesting how critical I was about just noticing my own criticalness of a situation. I think it's so important for us to realize what we believe, what we don't believe, why we're critical. And if I guess if it improves your life, if it improves your life, but also we have to be careful. It's an interesting thing. We have to there's something about we have to be careful. I think there's a when we fall in love, we have to be yeah. We don't really think about, oh, I did some stupid things when I was 20 and I did hurt some people and I am so sorry. I mean, I don't think I did stupid things because I followed my heart and I had to trust my heart, but you hurt people along the way.
Yeah,
There's-
yeah.
So I'll say I'm sorry. And I think to Saturday's a good day to say you're sorry. Well, you're bringing through all the motions of the week before the week even happens, Phil.
Well, we've got the moon coming into conjunction with Venus, which
Yeah, good
will,
food, good food, good food, good food, right? Like eating well.
yes, pleasant experiences, going to a nice restaurant, having easy conversations, and maybe rediscovering things that you enjoy, or maybe things that you normally enjoy just have something extra to it on Saturday.
Yeah. And maybe if you are somebody that is not in love, you could go on a dating app,
Yep.
right? I mean, look at sextiling Jupiter, right? Oh, yeah, it is. It's like the moon and Venus are sextiling Jupiter. And if you go on a date, maybe your heart will expand and you could fall in love. And maybe you should extend your age group. I have a friend that dates, and I was like, I think you should extend your age group. Like, don't look at me. I mean, I don't keep it so narrow. But I was like, again, I don't know how much we extend your thing. But again, we're open-minded. Now we're going into Cancer season. Love who you love. Love everybody. But yeah, I think Saturday is a good day to go on a date.
Or to definitely ask somebody out on a date for sure.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Phil? Are you gonna date? Are you gonna be in love again?
I, it would be nice, but I'm just, I, I guess I need just to be more focused on that, and I haven't been.
Yeah, I think it'd be
When
so nice for you to share your time with somebody. You have so much to offer.
oh, thank you. Uh, and I hope I will one day.
Yeah, I hope
But
so too. Maybe on maybe on Saturday. Maybe on Saturday. Maybe you just don't know. I mean, maybe someone will be right in front of you. You'll be like the supermarket and it'll just be somebody and you're supposed to say hello.
I have to get myself out there.
Do you go to the supermarket? Do you go to the supermarket? You just have to go to the supermarket.
I don't go to the supermarket that often. I'm more of a takeout guy, which is a bad habit. Maybe I should.
Yeah, I'll say cancer season, go to the supermarket and make food at home. I think that's an interesting, the Sun and Jupiter conjunction in Cancer, your home really matters and how your home. I mean, it's where am I going to put my focus on? I'm going to put my focus on what I want in my home. What do I want to make better and improve in my home with my family? And your family is not just your family is not just people that you're born into. So We'll go to Sunday because we're running out of time.
Yes.
I don't mean to put you on the spot about your dating life, Phil, but
I'm sorry.
I said I don't mean to put you on the spot about your dating life. I want you so much. I want someone to be able to love you as much as I love you. And I mean, it's because I feel this love for you that's platonic, but it's just there's this my heart flutters when I think of you. You're a gem.
Thank you. And if I have any news to report about my dating life, I will be sure to let you know because I'll be asking for advice. Believe me.
Yeah, I'll say maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should contain it first and
Right.
grow it. I'll say maybe be careful of what advice I give you. No, I would always give you the highest advice. I don't think you would need my advice. I think you should listen to your heart. And I think that is actually the message in general as we're moving into Cancer season is listen to your heart. It's Sunday. It's the sun's day. It's going to Jupiter, and your heart is sending you messages all the time. You think of Cancer, your stomach, your gut. It's like if I actually got out of my head, which I am because the sun's moving into Cancer, and I listen to my gut, and yeah, you should go to the supermarket on Sunday, on Sunday and fill your house with food.
It's
Fill
definitely nurturing.
Yeah, and just healthier and you'll feel better, you'll have more energy. So, yeah, it's very, very, very exciting. Is there anything else we see that's important? Just that you, yeah, well, it's squaring, it's okay. So on the lower side, we could think of war, we could think about wars for what reason and why we're in war for the wrong reason and how it could actually hurt people's families. Look at that. Like you could think about it in a very interesting way of hopefully, hopefully we find peace and we have maybe there'll be some kind of peace contract or something. We'll need to go towards peace with that moon hitting Uranus and Taurus at the end of Taurus. Maybe there'll be some shock about how we can be more peaceful. I think we missed the solstice, right? Was that the 20th? Was that
Friday is the solstice, so that would be a day to really pause, I think, to really connect with the vital sun energy. You're getting more sun that day than any other day of the year, and I think it is important that you just find a ritual or just reflect on it. Just for and the, bring your chest up to the sun and face the sun sometime during the day and just take it in and feel the warmth and know that that you've got lots of beautiful sunny days ahead during the summer and that you're a king of your world and you can do with those days what you choose.
yeah. Well, there are sunny days ahead. I think that is the perfect way to leave this. May there be sunny days in everyone's life filled with love and blessings and joy and just, yeah, our job is to find our happiness. And so don't have to look so far. You don't have to look that far. You just have to look outside and look to the sun, look to the moon, ask for help, and you're not alone. So until next week, Phil, who knows what you're going to look like next week, but you look gorgeous. And I look forward to seeing what surprise you bring to us next week.
You too. Thanks, Courtney.